Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I'm Rose Papa Angeles in Washington. It's Saturday, February 24, 2024, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with the World Health Organization's warning that malnutrition is worsening among children as well as pregnant and breastfeeding women in the Gaza Strip. This, WHO says, poses grave health threats. Rosal Feria tells us more.
The war in the Gaza Strip has now entered its 20th week. A comprehensive new analysis released by the Global Nutrition Cluster finds that malnutrition among children, pregnant women, and breastfeeding women is particularly extreme in the northern Gaza Strip. Nutrition screenings done at shelters and health centers in northern Gaza reveal that 1 in 6 children under 2 years of age are acutely malnourished. The report says 3% of these children suffer from severe wasting. Severe wasting is the most life-threatening form of malnutrition. It puts young children at highest risk of medical complications and death if they do not receive urgent treatment. Meanwhile, in southern Gaza, WHO says 5% of children under 2 years are acutely malnourished despite aid being more available compared to the north. The report also says 95% of pregnant and breastfeeding women face severe food poverty in the Gaza Strip. WHO's Health Emergencies Program warns that hunger and disease are a deadly combination. WHO, UNICEF, and the World Food Program call for safe, unimpeded, and sustained access to urgently deliver multi-sectoral humanitarian assistance throughout the Gaza Strip. They also ask for protection for hospitals and health workers so they can safely provide critical treatment and care. The three agencies appeal for immediate humanitarian ceasefire to provide the best chance to save lives and end suffering in Gaza. Rosal Feria, Washington, D.C. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, hundreds of thousands of students here in the U.S. have one less thing to worry about, paying their student debt. Jeff Sanidad in Washington reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden announces the approval of $1.2 billion in student debt cancellation. Almost 153,000 borrowers currently enrolled in the Saving on a Valuable Education or SAVE repayment plan will soon be receiving an email notifying them that their student debts have been forgiven.
Starting today, we're canceling student debt for borrowers who are enrolled in the SAVE plan and have been paying student loans for as little as 10 years. If they borrowed less than $2,000, it's forgiven. $12,000, excuse me. The loan is forgiven. This action will be a huge help to graduates of community college and borrowers of smaller loans, putting them back on track faster for debt forgiveness than ever before.
Biden says these will benefit individuals as well as the U.S. economy.
Let me close with this. This is kind of relief can be life-changing for individuals and for their families. And it's good for the economy as a whole. By freeing millions of Americans from the crushing debt of student loan programs, it means they can finally get on with their lives instead of getting their lives being put on hold.
Next week, the Department of Education will also be reaching out directly to borrowers who are eligible for early relief but not currently enrolled in the SAVE plan. They will be encouraged to enroll as soon as possible. The Biden-Harris administration has now approved nearly $138 billion in student debt cancellation for almost 3.9 million borrowers. Jeff Sanidad, Washington, D.C. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, in Brazil, Secretary of State Antony Blinken talks about issues discussed during the G20 summit. Blinken mentions the war between Israel and Hamas, the conflict in Ukraine, and the deforestation of the Brazilian Amazon. Jessica Bautista has the details.
At the last day of the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, State Secretary Antony Blinken mentions the issues that were given much attention.
We're focused intensely on trying to get an agreement that results in the release of the remaining hostages and that produces an extended humanitarian ceasefire. And again, those are goals that I think virtually everyone in the G20 shares.
Blinken says there is a strong, palpable desire among virtually all of the G20 for the aggression in Ukraine to end, and for peace to prevail in a way that upholds the rights of Ukrainians to their freedom, to their future, to the entire integrity of the country. The State Secretary also touches on how the U.S. is one with Brazil when it comes to preserving the Amazon rainforest.
President Lula put it this way when he was at the White House with President Biden. To take care of the Amazon rainforest today is to take care of the planet Earth. And to take care of the planet Earth is to take care of our own survival. I don't think anyone could put it any better. So the United States is working side by side with Brazil to support its efforts to preserve the rainforest.
Blinken adds that taking care of the Amazon rainforest is a very important opportunity to advance progress on the many different ways in dealing with climate change. He says they applaud Brazil's leadership. In Washington, D.C., Jessica Bautista, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Back here, a firefighter is dead and several others injured after a house exploded in a Virginia neighborhood. EJ Gonzalez in Virginia has the details.
Authorities say fire and rescue workers were sent to the home in Sterling, Virginia on Friday evening to investigate a suspected gas leak. Shortly after their arrival, the house exploded, killing one firefighter. The assistant chief of the local fire department says 9 other firefighters, as well as 2 civilians, were taken to nearby hospitals. Their injuries range from severe to less severe. The assistant fire chief describes the scene as total devastation. Footage broadcast on local television, as well as photos and video posted to social media, showed the smoldering ruins of the home. Wreckage from the blast scattered across much of the yard and spilled into the street. The cause of the explosion is still under investigation. EJ Gonzalez, Northern Virginia, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Experts predict a dip in mortgage rates this year. Let's find out what this means for those looking to buy a home in 2024. Anna Kui has that story.
As the Fed plans to cut interest rates several times in 2024, many experts believe that mortgage rates will continue to drop, boosting the housing market. Interest rates have been hiked 11 times by the Fed since March 2022, making the cost of borrowing more expensive and thus slowing the housing market. Some industry experts predicted these rate cuts will cause home prices to decline in 2023, while others expected to see a slight appreciation by the end of the same year. According to a recent report from CoreLogic, home prices nationwide, including distressed sales, increased year over year by 5.5% in December 2023, compared with the same time in 2022. CoreLogic forecasts home prices to increase up to 2.8% on a year-over-year basis by the end of December 2024. Experts say the healthy U.S. job market and wage growth, along with minimum home inventory, continue to push home prices upward. Many experts believe interest rates will follow a downward trajectory in 2024, but they also say buyers shouldn't expect homes to become more affordable. Overall, housing starts decreased about 15% in January, which translates to 1.33 million units. This overall number includes single-family home starts, but compared to a year ago, it is up 22%, according to the National Association of Home Builders. Yet experts say many homeowners are still less likely to sell their homes due to high mortgage rates in recent years, continuing to contribute to the low inventory in many cities across the U.S. Las Vegas remains in the top 10 list of large metro areas with the highest price increases year over year at 4.7% as of December 2023, with Miami showing the highest gain at 10.7%. According to Redfin, 2% of home buyers across the nation searched to move into Las Vegas between November 2023 to January 2024, majority of which is from Los Angeles, California, followed by San Francisco, California, and Seattle, Washington. Home sales of single-family homes in Las Vegas were up 12% in January compared to the same month in 2023, according to Las Vegas Realtors. Median price of homes sold was $445,000, up almost 5% year over year. New home construction continues across the valley here in Las Vegas, and open house signs are more visible. Industry experts say that for those looking to buy, this is a good sign that supply may be improving, giving prospective buyers more options to choose from. In Las Vegas and Acui, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Let's head over to Canada, where young adults are said to more than likely experience harder housing challenges versus the older ones. In Toronto, Ashley Sakmar reports.
If you're a young Canadian who rents a home or apartment in Toronto or Vancouver, you are likely prone to reporting a lower quality of life, according to recent research published by Statistics Canada. According to their report, younger Canadians are likely to face greater challenges than older age groups when it comes to securing their homes. Based on the 2021 census, nearly two-thirds of Canadians aged 15 to 29 rented their homes, with the majority of their income spent on shelter costs and so little left for their other expenses. In Toronto, about 30% of residents cannot afford the place they live in. About 12% of these households spend over half of their income paying for their rent. This financial strain is connected to a person's quality of life, which confirms the other findings of this survey. Compared to homeowners, Toronto and Vancouver renters are less likely to report high life satisfaction compared to the other provinces. More than half of those who live and rent in Toronto and Vancouver feel that they do not really belong to their local community, overall affecting their mental health. Ashley Sakmar, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
As storm clouds gather in Southern California, so too did the world's best PGA players for the 2024 Genesis Invitational. Fans are treated to an exciting come-from-behind victory, suffering only a few scattered drizzles during the championship round. In Pacific Palisades, California, Eva and Alan Basiyahe with the story.
Big pay at the PGA as the 2024 Genesis Invitational plays out at the iconic Riviera Country Club.
We're talking about a whopping $20 million total purse, with $4 million going to the tournament's top finisher.
The last day of tournament play picked up with Patrick Cantlay cradling a two-stroke lead over the frontrunners, but with a number of players in close pursuit, Cantlay was eventually overtaken, tying for fourth with two other golfers. But it's Hideki Matsuyama of Sendai, Japan, who stole the show, brilliantly piecing together a 9-under par for the final round to catapult himself from basically out of contention to the winner's circle. Matsuyama finished with par under 17, adding a 9th career PGA Tour title and fetching a $4 million birthday present 1 week before he turns 32 years old.
Throughout the 4 days of competition, golf fans crowded the Riviera to see their favorite players before the arrival of forecasted rain.
I mean, I got my umbrella right here. I'm ready to go. I got all of the stuff ready just in case. I'm from Seattle. If it's not raining, I'm going to be out here watching golf.
As a sporting event, it's great that you can get out and be in the outdoors and just walk around and have a good time, and you're not confined to a seat. You know, you can see everyone you want to see and just, you know, enjoy nature as well.
It's pretty cool. I've had it here for a lot of years, so it's fun to see it come back every year. Players are really fun. I think this year's a little bit more quiet than others, but yeah, I just hope for a good finish and good last round on Sunday.
I grew up playing golf in the area, and so coming here, it's very nostalgic and it's very easy for us to come here. So that way we're not missing out on the action, especially if it's in the Midwest or Europe, international or on the East Coast. So it's nice to just like come here in less than an hour and just hang out here and enjoy golf.
Like many fans, these two also golf. So we asked the obvious question, who is the better golfer?
I'm taking her down on probably 17 out of the 18 holes. She might get me on one.
I might, yeah. He's definitely got me, but we'll give it to him.
The tour won't swing by California again until July, and then that'll be it for the year.
Seizing the opportunity, golf fans in SoCal ignore gray skies for the chance to spend time on the greens.
Eva and Alan, Pacific Palisades, California. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, back in Brazil, as the country's vaccination campaign begins, local health workers start vaccinating children against dengue. This in Brazil's effort to beat the outbreak caused by the mosquito-borne disease. Rex Dulé has more on health as well.
At the Manaus Municipal Health Department, Indigenous leader Eliza Sateri is confident that together they will beat mosquitoes. One tribal leader says Indigenous children are more vulnerable. They are much further away than other children in the city of Manaus. He says they are not used to this mosquito-borne disease, thus vaccination is very helpful. The goal of the vaccination strategy is to reach 90% of the population aged between 10 and 14. Supply shortages, however, mean Brazil will only administer to children ages 10 to 11 at first. Brazilian health authorities registered more than 395,000 likely cases of the mosquito-borne disease in the first 5 weeks of the year, 4 times more than the same period last year. On February 9, Brazil launched a dengue fever immunization campaign. It is the first country in the world to provide the vaccine through its public health system as it deals with a surge in cases. In Washington, D.C., Rex Dulé, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, on the moon, a commercial United States spaceship lands on the lunar surface and transmits a live signal, a historic feat for a private company. Jane Kathleen Gregorio has the details.
We can confirm.
Intuitive Machines mission director confirms, and in his words, without a doubt, that their equipment is on the surface of the moon and that they are transmitting. Intuitive Machines is the company that built the first commercial U.S. spaceship that attempted to land on the moon in more than 50 years. This is America's first moon landing in more than half a century. It began its descent to the surface Thursday as part of a new fleet of NASA-funded, uncrewed commercial robots intended to pave the way for astronaut missions later this decade. A previous moonshot by another U.S. company last month ended in failure. Senior NASA official Joel Kearns says the current mission will be one of the first forays into the South Pole to actually look at the environmental conditions to a place where astronauts will be sent in the future. Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is a photograph taken from Lands End Trail Lookout in San Francisco, California, with the Golden Gate Bridge in the far distance. Thank you, Timon Lee, for this shot. And thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories you want us to share with you, just comment below. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and X at Eagle News Live. I am Rose Papa Angeles. We live in extraordinary times. Stay happy and healthy, everyone!